it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me, can only make us stronger.
Ow! Ow, that really hurt. Word to your mother. My name's Steve, this channel is Frags to Riches, and thank you for tuning in as always. I love it. That sounds a bit keen, doesn't it? Anyway, today's video is going to be a comparison video. I have a sample from KDJ Inspired, and it is their version of Emporio Armani's Stronger With You. Now, full disclosure, I didn't pay for this. Now, if you think that means I'm going to bum it really hard, you're wrong. I wouldn't trash it out of politeness, but I will be honest and I would say if I didn't like it or if I didn't think it was a particularly good clone, just like I did with the perfume parlour version of Stronger With You, which I didn't rate too highly if you've watched one of my last videos. Anyway, let's get into this. So yeah, I've got the original Stronger With You from Emporio Armani, which I really love. I prefer this to the new Stronger With You Intensely. I just find the Intensely one is a bit more gourmandish from that toffee note. And for me, that makes it a little bit more unisex, though I think they're both unisex to be honest. But I'm not a huge gourmand fan, so for me, this sort of nuttier, slightly fresher Stronger With You, the original version, is my preferred version. But anyway, as already alluded to, I have previously tried the Stronger With You version from Perfume Parlour and I didn't rate it too highly. The opening, it's certainly familiar and it certainly does smell like it, but when I wore it for a long period of time, the vanilla is a little bit amped up, I find, and it's a little bit synthetic, and for me that kind of just made me a little bit, I just didn't enjoy it. It just kind of gave me a bit of a headache and I just didn't particularly enjoy wearing it. So yeah, not a fan particularly of the perfume parlour version. So this KDJ Inspired one then. So I've only ever tried one other of their samples, one other of their fragrances, and it was, and I actually thought it was nice. I actually preferred it to the original, but I said it smelled like a flanker, to be honest. It was kind of close and similar, but it was like a lighter kind of summer like version of the original. So is this one any good? Well, I've got to say, in short, yes it is, to be honest. Spraying them side by side, I'll do it now. So when I did some testing, I actually wore them side by side on each arm, and I kind of applied the KDJ one around my neck as I would normally. And I wore them for the day and I kept comparing the two arms. Now, in the opening, again, it is really close, but I can smell the difference. I think if you were smelling it in isolation, or you're doing like a blind test like Chris and I did from Fragmental when we tested those perfume parlour clones, I think you would probably struggle because it is certainly similar. So, but side by side you can tell a difference, but there's not that much in it. I think the original is nuttier, and I think the KDJ Inspired one, as I say, it is really similar, but I would say it's a little bit sweeter, and it's a little bit slightly more powdery as well. It's kind of like a sort of synthetic sort of powdery sweetness, so it's not like just a sweeter vanilla, if that makes sense. But I mean, there's not much in it, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's a world apart. I think it's a really pleasant opening. It's not synthetic, it's not harsh, but the original is nuttier and the Inspired version is slightly more powdery and a little, like a hint sweeter, I would say, a hint sweeter. When we get into dry down, they get even closer still in my mind, and I would say the original is ever so slightly heavier. I would say, again, it remains slightly nuttier, and it just is a little bit heavier. And probably, because it's nuttier, a little bit more gourmandish than the original. I mean, I'm smelling the openings now, but yeah, and I think, yeah, the KDJ, so the original is a bit nuttier, a little bit heavier, and the KDJ Inspired gets closer to it, but it still remains a little bit lighter and a little bit sweeter, I would say. But there's really not much in it. I've got to say, I wore this for a full day and I had no issues like I did with the Perfume Parlour version. The vanilla, I say, even though it's slightly sweeter, it's not synthetic sweetness, it's not cloying. I enjoyed wearing it, and I've got to say it's a really good version, and I'm not just saying that because it's a freebie. If that's what you think, then if that's what you think of me, then you have a low opinion. No, it is, I was genuinely impressed. I sort of wore it and I thought this is just perfectly pleasant to wear, where the Perfume Parlour one I just didn't enjoy wearing. It was just, the synthetic vanilla was just too strong and it was just quite cloying, and I just found it a bit overbearing. Where the KDJ one is not as strong as the original and it's not as strong as the Perfume Parlour one, but it's strong enough is what I would say. It's really pleasant to wear. I would say performance wise, as I say, it's not quite as strong as the original. So that means it doesn't quite project as much, but I actually got reasonable projection. And also the performance, like the longevity, was good. So to give you some numbers, I would say the KDJ one projected for, probably is in line with the original, sort of 2 to 3 hours. And performance wise was, again, similar to the original. I put it on in the morning, like 9 o'clock or something, and I could still smell them both. When I got home at like 5, 6 o'clock, I could still smell them. As I say, so I'd say longevity was similar. Projection, again, was 2 to 3 hours for both, but I would say the projection on the original is a little bit further. It's a bit stronger, so you'll get a bit of a further reach sort of projection and sillage from the original. But yeah, I've got to say, I'm really quite pleased with this. I would definitely recommend this. So if you haven't got the original strong with you, I would say don't get me personally, I would not recommend the Perfume Parlour one. I would recommend the KDJ one. Simple as that. And that's not because this is free. I genuinely enjoyed wearing it, and this is, I think I'll probably now use this as a little travel version for my original. I can sort of, if I'm traveling for work, I'll just throw that in my wash bag. So yeah, there we go. There's a little tip for you. Consumer advice at its best. So thank you for watching as always. It's quite a nice short video because there's not too much to report. It's quite good. What can I say? Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Do always like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate when you guys get involved. I always try to reply to all of you. And thank you, loads of you have been recommending some fragrances and I really appreciate that, so thank you. And I will try and get round to them. Yeah, once again, thanks for tuning in and I will see you next time. Much love.